Welcome to the Socks Make People Sexy Let's Play Apple Tarot Week 4. It's time to get down and dirty. Now this week, Zalos has decided to draw 2 cards, making a 2-card spread for his Apple Tarot, and he's decided to draw the 2 cards Fantastic and Filthy. Now he says he did this accidentally. I don't believe him. Nonetheless, we have to play a game that fits into both of those categories this time. So first off with Fantastic, I thought, why not Star Fox? It has furries in space, with ships and lightning space battles and really fun fast action. So that's fantastic. But what's filthy about Star Fox? There's one particular Star Fox game that's pretty filthy. And it's about its release itself. And that's Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo. Now, you've either heard of Star Fox 2 or you haven't. If you haven't heard about Star Fox 2, it's a game that was actually never released, developed by Nintendo and Argonauts, who also developed the original Star Fox, as well as a slew of other games that use the FX chip, such as Stunt Race FX. So Star Fox 2 takes a slight departure, actually, from the different Star Fox mechanics that we had from the first game. Instead of having regular linear paths through 5 different levels, we now have a space galactic battle map that we have to traverse through, while defending Corneria while taking on different levels, all in semi-real time. So first off, you're going to notice here, you're going to be selecting 2 characters. You have actually a selection of all the cast from Star Fox 1, and also 2 new characters. All the characters, their names are Fox, Falco, Slippy, Peppy, those 4, and then also Miu and Faye, who are 2 new characters, and personally, I like Faye a lot, so we're picking Faye and Fox. Now, they all have different abilities, different things about their ships. Faye and Miu have smaller shields, while Fox and Falco start with bombs, and Peppy and Slippy start with healing items. Now, right off the bat, we're going to start off with an IPBM battle. And IPBMs are these missiles that are flying from the different battle stations on the different planets. We want to take out these IPBMs because they'll cause damage to Corneria. Like I mentioned, we're defending Corneria throughout this game. And if that meter or that percentage at the bottom of the screen goes to 100%, Corneria is destroyed, and we can get a game over by that. So we don't want to do that. Now, with these fights as well too, you're going to be doing this in either a first-person or a third-person view. Personally, Star Fox for space battles, I prefer the first-person view. That's just me though, you can switch it with the select button. There too. So, again, you're going to destroy those battles with 2 before they escape your presence. Now, we're going to be going into a squadron battle here next. And squadron battles are the exact same thing, only they're a little more aggressive than the IPBMs. So, what you want to do here is chase down each of these ships too. And you'll notice also that you're being timed, but not counting down, but counting up. Your total time to take to beat the entire game is totaled at the end of any playthrough. And how much time you took to beat the game is then added up at the end. So you want to be as quick as possible to get that highest score. And again, too, with these battles also, though, if you do happen to lose the opponent, they will actually get away and you'll go back to the map. Enemy will become out of range, and then you'll just leave. You can chase it back down again, too, and it will actually stay that enemy that squadron there. I had 1 enemy ship left, so we'll only be fighting 1 enemy ship now when I come back to get it. If we let it linger on for too long, it'll attack Corneria as much as possible as it can. We don't want to leave anything happening there, too. Now, what's going to happen here next, we have 2 different choices there also with what we can take on. Either Titania or the battleship. We're going to take on Titania first. But, in the middle of this, we're going to have dogfights. And hey, it's Leon from Star Wolf! You're going to notice a lot of things in this game. If you've ever played Star Fox 64, you'll know that game had these sections that were free roaming. And a lot of that was taken from Star Fox 2. Turns out a lot of the code was used from Star Fox 2. And that's what kind of makes this a little bit filthy. Apparently Nintendo used this code without Argonaut's permission, basically, from Star Fox 64. Or basically they took the code as they were working on it with Argonaut. There too. So you're going to notice a lot of different mechanics in Star Fox 64 that actually come from this game. And a few other Star Fox games use sort of the same kind of mechanic, like Star Fox Command, apparently, which I admit I've never played, but it does use a lot of this stuff, too. Now, the new thing here, too, in Star Fox 2, or with planets, you're going to notice that the R-Wing is now a walker. So the walker can be switched back and forth between an R-Wing and the walker with the select button. The R-Wing will keep flying forward, and then you'll just be turning and everything too. Now the walker, you move back and up, you move forward, backwards, and then you go left and right, with the directional pad, and you turn the camera with the L and R buttons. And then you can also jump with the A button. The walker control is actually really cool, and it turns out that Nintendo's using the walker for Star Fox Zero. Again, another mechanic taken from Star Fox 2. So it's a really big surprise this game was never released. But a lot of mechanics are still being used from it, and this game just kind of combines them all into something really coherent. Now, as well too, you'll notice that with the planets here, you're basically hitting two switches, getting into the enemy base, and doing that. Now, one thing too also you want to keep an eye on in Star Fox 2 are the General Pepper medals. They're actually big score bonuses at the end of your playthrough. Now, with the with the R-Wing will move faster through the levels, so if you want to keep that time up, switch the R-Wing back and forth. But the R-Wing doesn't fly in a predictable pattern either, too. You have to actually control it and how it's going to be moving in a free roaming environment. It's no longer on rails. None of this game is on rails, which is really cool too. This is the Super Nintendo running a full 3D game. That's not like Star Fox was on rails. FX was, or Stunt Racer FX was on, a racing game. So it had a little bit more to do with Star Fox as well. And then, of course, Yoshi's Island 2 used the FX2 chip, and that just had its own thing. But this game is a full 3D game. So it's really surprising to see this. It almost looks kind of like Geograph Seal for the Sharp X68000. It kind of reminds me of that, and which became Jumping Flash. Now, notice as well, too, we went to a battleship. Now, battleships are what's launching those squadrons, and to destroy the battleships, you go inside of them, fly through space first, then go into them Star Fox style, shoot the core, and get out of there. You notice this game is really quick. A lot of really fast stages. Nothing really stays really, forward at one point. And you notice as well, too, you can open up the map and see everything else going on, too. Enemies can actually attack Cornerio while you're in a stage like this. So you've got to know how to manage everything, too. Now, this is normal mode. Not too much is happening here. But in harder difficulties, enemies are going to be more prone to attack Corneria. And you've got to be really careful about it, too. Because again, too, if Corneria goes down, that's game over. And not only that, too, you have two ships to deal with. Now, they don't share a health bar, they have two separate health bars. You can switch between them any time on the world map. But if a ship goes down, you lose that ship for the rest of your playthrough. So there's not a way to recover as well, too. At least not what I've found from there. So, again, we have a really quick game with really quick levels and just a few different but tight mechanics throughout the rest of the game, and it's really cool. Again, I'm really in love with this game. So I've gone ahead and switched to Faye, and you notice, like I said, she does have a smaller health bar, but still pretty cool. But now we have another dogfight, and hey, it's Pigma from Star Fox 64. A lot of the characters were taken from this game as well, too, for Star Fox 64. Star Wolf, you have the Star Wolf pilots. We've seen Leon so far. We've seen now Pigma, and we're gonna be seeing Wolf later on. And actually, Andrew Oikni is in there as well too. From that, he's not in this difficulty. He's in harder difficulties. Now, after you get so far into the game, Andros will then appear, and they'll switch to his base, and he'll send out a boss at you. Now, this boss will appear on the world map, and you need to chase it down and kill it. Now, the boss is different for each difficulty, but in normal mode, it's going to be the Mirage Dragon. Now, the Mirage Dragon is going to be a space battle, of course, as we had appeared on the world map here. And basically what you want to do in this battle is sort of target him as you're charging your shot here. Whenever your cursor locks onto a target, it'll actually lock onto it. So when you use a charge shot by holding down the Y button and then releasing, it will then actually guide that shot towards the enemy that you've targeted. And the Mirage Dragon is actually a pretty easy boss. Doesn't take too long to take down. Really none of the bosses in this game do, except for the final boss. Now, I've been sort of alluding to this already with this game, that Nintendo did take things from this game and used for other Star Fox games, especially Star Fox 64 with the free roaming movement. But one thing as well too, and I've sort of alluded to this before as well, that Argonaut also is who developed this game too, who, like I said, developed the original Star Fox game along with Nintendo. During their contract, this game was supposed to be released in 1995, but was unreleased due to perceptions of, apparently here, the perceptions of the 3D market for video games. In this as well too, like, other systems have come out also, like the 3DO, the PlayStation is out, the Sega Saturn was out too, and Nintendo was about to be releasing the Nintendo 64, but wouldn't do so until like another year and a half later. So, wonder as well too why Nintendo didn't release this game. They thought the N64 would be released earlier than this, or what it was. Now, whether that was a good decision or not, I don't know. Now, 3D games were looking better than this already before, as well too. And like I said, there are some PC games that look kind of like this too. Like I mentioned, Geograph Seal was for a Japanese computer. And actually, that looks a lot like this too. But nonetheless, different perceptions of 3D gaming and really what it was becoming is what stopped this game from being released, even though it was basically completed. Now, again, too, this is a prototype ROM. There does exist out there a complete version of this, but it was never released to the public due to copyright reasons. But these have been leaked from before as well, too, and also fan-translated. So, getting this game and playing it is not too hard. But a lot of the other thing, too, of just what happened with this game, Nintendo used code from it, basically, from Argonaut, and didn't really credit them or associate with them afterwards. Argonaut did develop a couple other games as well too after Star Fox 2, and did develop a lot more games too. Some of the N64, like Buck Bumble, is a game developed by them too, and they even developed the game called Croc, which was originally pitched as a Yoshi game for the N64, until Nintendo told them where to stick it, and well, we got Croc instead, which was published by Warner Brothers, I believe? I forget. But again, that's a pretty cute platformer as well, too. And Argonaut does have good games they've made. Unfortunately, they did go out of business in 2004, where they were sold off. Their last game was Malice for the PS2 and Xbox. But nonetheless, we have the games that they developed as well, too. And I think, personally, Star Fox 1 and 2 are their best games they've made. Croc is pretty good, too. I never played Buck Bumble or some of their other games, too. And apparently they made X for the Game Boy, which I've heard a lot about, but have never played. It's sort of like a 3D shooter game for the Game Boy. That was like in 1992. Smash Brothers always had the theme for that game there, and I've heard it, and I've always liked it. But I just discovered that Argonaut made it as well, too, as I was looking some more information about them. So that's something I might want to try a little bit later on, too. But you're going to notice as well, too, in normal mode here for Star Fox, you have basically 2 planets, 2 battleships, and 3 dogfights for that. Now, the harder difficulties are going to give you more. Like, for example, hard mode has 4 battleships and 3 planets, as well as 4 dogfights you'll have to take on. Now, we just took out the last battleship here. And one thing I did before in as well, too, and I'm going to show off again, too, is I had moved the main base over to Meteor after I took it over. You can actually move your mothership back and forth between different planets. Like, for example, I'm moving it to Fortuna right there from Corneria. And whenever you go to your battleship, it heals you, gives you everything you need back that you've lost, health-wise. Okay, so we're gonna take on this last last squadron battle, and then what's gonna happen next is that we're gonna be attacked by Wolf. On there, that's actually the end. That's actually end game here too. Wolf is the first part of the final boss, or the final level. So once we take up all the forces here too, Corneria is no longer going to be attacked after this scene. So now Corneria is safe. We can take on the final boss right now. But as we do that, we're going to be attacked by Wolf, like I said. And Wolf looks kind of different in this design, but yeah, they use Wolf here too, and of course they use Wolf later on too. It's also noted here that there's a rivalry between Star Fox and Star Wolf, and that they are a mercenary force. Yeah, Star Wolf is called you a brat, and he's pretty cute still. But basically, you want to take on Star Wolf the same way also. Now, one thing to let you know too with Star Fox here, lasers can actually be deflected by doing what's called the barrel roll. It's not actually a barrel roll, but let's ignore that. So, with deflecting lasers as well too, Star Wolf is actually doing this to me. Or Wolf here is doing the same thing. But honestly, the dogfights go down pretty easily. They're a little harder in the higher difficulties because they do start deflecting your lasers. But with Star Wolf done, that was the last of the 3 dogfights. We're actually moving on to the final level already. Yeah, we're going to beat this game in this video. So, we move on to the final level with one of the coolest opening scenes to a final level. I will be silent here for a second and let this go on. Okay, that's pretty cool. Again, the Super Nintendo's doing this is great. And this level, I do recommend staying mostly in R-Wing mode for the first part, because it goes a little bit faster too, and it's kind of fun to fly through this little hallway with the R-Wing. You basically have 2 paths there too. I usually take the left path, land on this platform here with the walker to hit this switch, which will keep the room going forward here from that. And then switch back into R-Wing mode to fly out of here. This is actually a really fun level for me too, because you have to rely on kind of your own reflexes here and moving fast, and especially if you're using the R-Wing. Again, so actually if you hit those rotating ones too with the arrows, if you hit that with the laser, they'll stop actually at the point that they were hit. Now one thing here too, to the left is the final boss, but you want to go right first and hit this room here. First off, there's a general pepper medal. There's a little healing thing too, so if you need to heal your shields. And there's also an item here that allows you to heal. Now you're locked in this room as well too, so you want to actually target the enemy in here that's moving across below the floor here. And you notice on the mini-map there that red dot's what you're looking for. So basically hit them, multiple hits, and then you can fly out of here to actually go towards the final boss. Now, this game too, you're gonna notice as well, there's a lot of different random elements in there as well too. I've had times where it will select different plans for me on different playthroughs, so that's definitely something with this game too. It's heavily replayable, and also really fast. Again, we're beating this in about 20 minutes. But with all of this too, we are at the final boss. Now the first phase of this boss is just another generator, just as it's normally been. You want to take on those 4 triangles of doom that are firing lasers at you. And at the end, you'll see Andross's cube thing that was in Star Fox 1 as well too. Basically shoot it up and it will explode nicely. But Andross will escape. And it starts off with music from Star Fox 1, which is fantastic. Nice little callback. But now we're at the final boss, which is a space battle. On here, so we're going to be taking this in first person. Andross will be going into his space form. Now, you've probably seen other variations like this before too. This one looks better than the one from Star Fox 1. There, and this final boss has different variations in different modes too, but we're playing on easy mode. All we're really doing is you're hitting the 2 eyes there with your lasers until they go black. And once they do, the face will actually open up to reveal Andross's cube. Now, in higher difficulties, it'll go to a second phase after this too, with 2 other phases that you have to hit with the Andross hand things. That's actually where that comes from here. On there from Star Fox 1. But after the face explodes, hit that cube really fast and hit it hard. There, so it doesn't reform the face back again. There, but once you do enough hits to that cube, the boss will explode, and we are going to do our escape route. Actually, there is no escape sequence, so you have to fly through it all in this game, so you're safe there. But yeah, once actually Andross is done here, that's the end of the game. So we have actually beaten Star Fox 2. Now again, too, that was just normal mode. Higher difficulties are going to have a little longer game time here from that, but this is a really quick game if you notice. You don't really have to sit too long to play this. Not only that, it stays active, it stays really fun throughout the entire thing. One thing with kind of the order of like the other Star Fox, like Star Fox 64 especially too, my main one gripe might be how long that game can get sometimes. There, which this game really fixes that too. It's a short game, Pretty simple as well, too. Good mechanics. But then again, too, Star Fox 64 is one of the best games you're ever going to play on the N64. And really, you shouldn't skip out on that game if you have never played it. Definitely give Star Fox 64 a good, solid chance there. And especially, and now this game, too. This takes, again, the future Star Fox games took a lot from this particular game. And it's a shame, too, that this was never released. I think this would have been a really good game at the time, too. It probably would have been not received as well as Star Fox 1, as from 1993. This would have been released in 95, if it would have ever been released. Honestly, it probably would not have been as well received, too, which I understand Nintendo's decision for not doing it. Although I think it is kind of dirty and a little bit filthy that they didn't ever they didn't release this game, and use its code as well too for future Star Fox games as well too. Which again, too, Nintendo's practices in the 80s and 90s were, looking back, sometimes a little crappy there too. This is one of their skeletons as well too. But again, we have this game still, at least for us to be able to play like this, and I think it's one of the best Star Fox games. It's probably my third favorite next to Star Fox 1 and Star Fox 64. And probably of the 3 good Star Fox games out there, but really, Assault has its moments, but it's not that great. And then Adventure, actually, I've never played Adventure. Maybe I should at some point. I played it, I rented it once, I believe. And then also Star Fox Command, which I've never played too, but I've heard is not great either. But again, also, this is another one of those Argonaut Nintendo joints, and actually, again, it's probably one of my favorites on there. It's hard to choose this between Star Fox 1 and Star Fox 2. And I'm really hoping that Star Fox Zero does really well in the end as well too. But in the end, Star Fox, like I said, Star Fox 2, excellent game. It's a fantastic game, and a little bit dirty as well too with how Nintendo had done the release. But at the end, we come to the credits here and come to the end. We saw the enemies, we saw the staff, and now we're going to see our final score from that playthrough. Like I said, the game tallies your final score, how many planets you've liberated, your battleships destroyed, missiles you've taken on, and other etc. enemies. And then your total time, and then you have to put in your high score. Unfortunately, it doesn't save my high scores for some reason, but there you go. I want to thank you all for joining me for Apple Terra this week, and y'all have a good, happy Easter.